Well, welcome back to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. I am joined by Trevor Pyle, who is the owner of Havens Construction here in the Austin, Texas area. Super excited to be sitting down, having some conversation today. Trevor, I guess just first and foremost, thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here and having some conversation.
Thank you for
But
having me, Tanner.
of course, this is gonna be fun. I know it will be. So let's start with a little bit of background. Give us the quick snapshot of what Havens Construction does, and then give us the I don't know, generalized concept of who you are. Like what led you to this company.
Oof. Well, so Havens Construction is a commercial general contracting firm, and we specialize in architectural build out. And what that means is typically things with higher design and bigger concept to get across. A lot of hospitality, restaurants, and so forth with high design. Uh, I founded this 22 in 2001, so 23 years ago. And it was somewhat by force. Life happens, and well, my son was born in 2001, and I was going to enter into art school and ended up dropping out and going into construction, and that's the launch pad.
Interesting. And starting back in 2001, so I imagine you've seen a lot of different things within the construction industry during that time.
Absolutely. Especially in this town. Absolutely.
I mean, there's been no growth or change in this community since 2001.
No highs, no lows.
So as we just kind of set some of the generalized stage for the viewers and things like that. Um, so started the business back in 2001. Did you have business partners at that point? Was this a like I'm going to go do it on my own? Kind of what was that journey like, or any
Yeah.
conversations around that
So
piece?
I started working with a multifamily builder, and actually, morning of 9/11, we could already tell that the market was slowing down for our industry. And the morning of 9/11, I was actually laid off right before the towers fell. Like I was called into the office, uh, and it was kind of a crazy morning. Woke up not knowing what was happening, left knowing what was happening, and I had just been laid off. And I had a newborn, and nobody was hiring, and so out of hapstance, I was kind of forced to improvise, and I had the knowledge. I had the construction knowledge from working with a general contractor in high school, and then after high school, and before I was going into art school, and so I started, knocking on doors, property management companies that had commercial properties that I could, you know, solicit services. So yeah, started reaching out to them, and one thing led to another, and then I would say, at that time I was doing it all myself, and then about 2 to 3 years later, you know, the job hunt stopped, and I was pretty well set on doing my own business. So I just kept going from there, learning along the way.
I'm sure there's many lessons that you've learned. I just have to imagine with the length of time that you've been able to do this. Um,
I hope I can drop some golden nuggets down.
well, we'll see if we can't pull some of those out here. Um, so maybe walk me through the journey a little bit further. So from those early days to growing through into I don't know late 2000s, early and kind of the 2010s there, and then kind of where you're at today. Kind of paint the picture of
Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah.
the business
So,
has grown.
so obviously, it started off doing small tenant improvement, and even maintenance stuff. Doing T-grid ceilings, and framing up walls, and the downtown high rises and so forth. And then really getting to a point where I had this art background, and what I'm doing with just typical rubber base and T-grid ceilings isn't really feeding that art background. So from there, I started to evolve and reach out to architects that were in the industry doing cool things, uh, and then landing some of those projects. And I really, that's where I found my purpose. I said, I can take my art background and really apply it to what I'm doing in this industry and really create something special. So that's really kind of the purpose behind what we do, and and the building block beyond that. So one job leads to another job, networking, and that, all the architects that are doing cool things kind of running a network, and so yeah, it's kind of led one thing to another.
So I'm always curious, the first couple years in business, was it, did you go straight for, looking for people that you could hire and that sort of thing? Was a lot of like you doing all the work and then kind of what are you up to today in terms of, team
At
members
that
and things
point
like
in
that?
time, I did have some tool bags on, and was also doing, subcontracting some of the work that I wasn't able to do on my own. I built a small little crew that we could go in and do these things. And then once we started getting full, complete projects, not, and you eventually have to shift from doing some of those maintenance and repair type things to doing full build outs. And that's where you start to get into the project management and focusing on the craftsmanship and the quality and stepping back. And, when you have multiple jobs, how do you do it? You can't do it yourself. So what's the best way to manage that quality? And that was to subcontract it out and then start hiring supers and then project managers and estimators to help facilitate that. Um, yeah, that's pretty much the launch pad right there. So
So where, based on that, based on where you're at today, how many team members are you up to today?
we have 10,
Beautiful.
and
Um,
superintendents and project managers.
Amazing. So what is your role in the business? So, I introduced you as owner, founder of the company. How has that evolved? Kind of what hats do you get to wear in the business
Yeah,
today?
so my industry is built on, from the very beginning when it was just myself, and as we were transitioning into doing full-on projects, I would do the estimating and the project management and the superintendent, and then hiring a superintendent to run the day-to-day in the field, and then a project manager to be, they're more or less the scout on a wagon train, looking for, reviewing uh, shop drawings and submittals and orders and tracking those things, making sure that that stuff's ready for the superintendent. Um, and so in the beginning, I was doing all of those things, and now transitioning from, okay, I can hire a superintendent, I'll do the project management and the estimating, and then transitioning, hiring a project manager, and then doing most of the estimating and business development. And today I do a lot. My focus is business development, estimating, and then I do a lot of, I guess my main role and my main focus now is being process and growth oriented. So building processes within our company to develop and ever, keep up with the industry demand and keep up with this ever changing industry. So we have to pivot quite often. So, but we focused on building these check and balance systems within our company where um, it's really designed to still maintain that level of craftsmanship. And you got to, every project goes through a phase. So at at that certain phase, there's a milestone and a checklist of things we review to make sure that it keeps up with that.
Hmm.
That's that's my main focus, to develop that. And really we're working on a curriculum now so that we can hire the people we want to try hire and then train them and develop them and continue to grow with that method.
That's really cool. I love that. Since we're kind of on the topic of like this journey and you mentioning some pivots and changes in the industry overall, maybe let's just kind of let's talk through that a little bit. I'm super curious. I'm sure some of the viewers will be as well. So, I mean, from starting back in 2001 and already kind of stating that there was something pretty major that happened, in the world in 2001, through being in this industry through 2007 through 2009, and kind of the recessionary stuff there to COVID in 2020. Like you have to have seen like it all when it comes to the industry and things changing and shifting within the markets and just all that kind of stuff. How
Yeah.
did you navigate through some of that, and what are some of the lessons that you learned in business as you kind of navigated this longevity that you've had?
Well, I tell you, I mean, we've seen like in the 2007, 2008, where it kind of, obviously after 2001, it dipped, and then 2007, 2008, the economy dipped again. And, that stretch from 2001 to 2008, I hadn't really seen that wave of the economics, what was happening in the economy. And then after 2008, another wave came and a big boom came, and we were able to really um, put away some reserves and really know that it is very cyclical. It does come in waves, and so during the high times, you don't have much time to uh, develop and work on your processes and work on those efficiencies. But in the low times, we've been very good about, okay, we can slow down and work on this, and this needs to be our objective. And during COVID, I call that almost a blessing year because we made milestones in what we were trying to do, what we were working on as far as like just efficiencies and really honing in on our purpose and our vision and how we get there. That was the first time we had really had the opportunity to take a step back and really hone that in, and it's been great ever since. So yes, we've got a little bit of a economic downturn, but we've not really been. Uh, I think we're a little bit industry. I think we're a little bit uh, unaffected by that because we are in such a niche market for what
Mhm.
we do that and our clientele continues to grow, and as they grow, we grow with them. And some of their industry is kind of recession proof, so we've been able to maintain through that and building those relationships as well.
That's amazing. And that's a phenomenal segue because I always love to ask, some general questions around like what makes your business so special? And the first question that you've kind of already alluded to it a bit, but I always like to make like super clear for the audience. And who primarily does your business serve? And the way that I like to frame is if I'm watching this later on, right? I'm listening to this, the audio, whatever it is, but I'm listening back to this conversation and I'm in the audience. How do I know that I'm a really good fit to work with y'all, or I might know somebody in my network that I need to refer over?
Yeah. Well, we like working with local businesses that have a statement and have their own unique brand and personality. We like to work with companies that have a brand, and we like to, you know, uh, tap into what they want to convey, and then really make sure that we are doing a good job at that. They have a look, a feel, something they're trying to convey, and that is our niche. And a lot of our customers, hospitality groups that we work with, they have multiple restaurants that they're doing. Um, Grocery store chains, Royal Blue Grocery, one of our great clients, and they're constantly building, constantly evolving, and they've started way back when, and they've grown, and been fortunate to stay with them.
I love that. I think you might have mentioned earlier, or maybe it was before we jumped on here, but the competitive landscape for your industry can be well, somewhat competitive from time to time. So I'm curious, like, what do you all do that helps you stand out? You know, obviously you've been around for a long time in business. That in itself is a massive degree of success. What do you attribute some of that to? Why do some of your clients choose to work with you as opposed to some of the other competitors out there?
Well, I think first off, bird of feather flock together, and I think when we used to early on in early stages, we would compete for bids, and we would try to be the lowest and try to win the bid. And really, that's it for my niche. That's a bad that's not a great concept because what you're doing is what we do is really tap into what their needs are and really hone in on that. And so finding the right clients, working with the right architects, working with the right subcontractors that all share same core values, that's key. So uh yeah, really tapping in. It's really that niche market and selling our product and focusing on selling our product has really created that niche.
Mm,
So I mean, I don't see as much competitive uh, anymore. Now it's they come to us for that need, and so I think in the early stages it was more competitive industry and bidding. Now it's less of that, and they come to us. But to that effect, there's not a lot of industry knowledge that's shared between general contractors because of that competitive nature. So
mm.
it's good to have platforms like this where you can extract that knowledge from other people and we can see those what they've picked up along the way.
Yeah. Which leads me to the when you look at the niche market that you work in and the types of clients that you work with, and having some of them come to you, right? How what are you doing to foster that? What has worked for you in the past in terms of like marketing, like getting the word out there about what you all do, the projects that you've completed and some of that work. How do you get that word out in front of, you know, the folks that actually have the ability to do some business with you down the road?
Well, when we do reach out, we're reaching out to a lot of architects that we, know that they're doing something special, and we know that their type of clientele that they have are special, and really just like I say, networking within that, uh, under that philosophy of like bird of feather flock together. We want to work with people that share our core values and likewise, they intend to do the same. So that's been a good marketing strategy. And then just keeping up with social medias and your website and you know showcasing your work and showcasing what you're actually proud of and that's pretty much our marketing strategy right there.
So let's flip it on its head for a moment, as we look for, you know, lessons for the audience, you know, over the last, you know, couple of decades. Is there any marketing strategy that you've tested in the past that you're like, that did not work for us? Maybe it works for other people, but just was not the thing that worked for you, or just kind of some lessons, generally speaking, when it comes to marketing, that you could, you know, help some folks understand where some landmines might be to pay attention for.
Yeah, know your purpose, know your product, and find who that product that purpose serves, and then reach out to those guys. We've gone into, they'll have these bid pools where there's companies that specialize in taking on everybody that this franchise needs this built or this franchise needs this built, and we don't know anything about them, they don't know anything about us, but they send them out to all these general contractors to bid on. That's not our we don't that's not a good that wasn't good for us. What we
Mm,
found good is just really honing in on like-minded uh clientele and figuring out ways to find more of those like-minded clientele.
I
So
like that.
yeah.
I I like that a lot. So as you look forward to the, you know, next 3 to 5 years, what do you see for the business? Where's the business going? How do you see your role changing, over that time period? But kind of cast the vision for us. Where's the business going the next couple of years?
Yeah, so well that's big. We haven't, to your point, I will say we haven't marketed very much because we haven't really needed to. And also I've been building this platform. Um, the trade industry and the construction industry, if you hire somebody out of college, they really have theory. They don't really have the knowledge that we're looking for. So what we look for is really core values. And if those core values share our core values, that's what we hire. And then secondarily, what they know. We could we're less concerned with what they know versus their core values. That's our hiring strategy. And then from there, we can teach the rest. And so my main focus, along with business development and estimating, is really working on that training curriculum. And we're working on something. I guess the vision right now is like, we're going to put so much time and effort in this curriculum. We might as well bring that to the public and for the industry, and how we can either impart that into local trade schools or universities, or maybe create our own. We don't really know exactly. We just have the vision of we know that we're putting so much into this training. We want them to pick up the milestones and the checklist and the intent behind it and why it's there. And so we'd like to roll that out in the next few years. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the vision for over the next 3 to 5 years. And obviously, we are focused on picking up more business as we grow over those next 3 to 5 years, and make some profit off of that. But that's been one of our main goals. So uh, that's the vision right now. And then where I see myself is really taking a step back from running the day to day, being a CEO on the business, but also focusing more on that and giving the time for me to take that to the rest of the world and to the public. And I haven't researched exactly how we're going to do that. We're still coming up with that curriculum and then how to market that. So,
Oh, that is so cool. I'm excited to see just that vision in general. I just knowing, generally speaking, when it comes to recruiting and hiring team members and things like that, and if you can have that curriculum, things where you can teach them the hard skills, but they have like those soft skills or those core values and things like that. That is absolutely phenomenal. So I absolutely love that. I'm excited to see that
some of those core
continue to
values you
progress.
can't teach. So, I mean, we try to extract like what are their core values before we hire somebody. And then, if they've got a head on their shoulders and they share these core values, and our biggest one is growth and development. And that is, constantly improving and constantly, figuring out ways to get better from project to project, and both uh, company wise and also personal, you know,
Mm.
huge emphasis on that.
Oh, that's a good one. Such a good one. Well, I want to be respectful of the time that we have, and I got a couple rapid fire questions I always like to kind of start or wrap up on.
Yeah.
Primarily just to pull some additional, call them wisdom nuggets out for the audience, just a little
Okay.
kind of some key takeaways that they can take.
Let's do it.
So the first one I've got for you here, when you look at kind of this journey that you've been on, what would you say, or yeah, what would you say is kind of your key to success?
I think I've talked about it a lot. And I think it was shifting that purpose from bidding to win to selling your product, knowing what your product is and selling that.
Hmm. I like that. How about advice? If you give advice to other business owners out there today, just leave them with one thing. What would you want to leave them with in terms of advice?
Do what feels inspiring. Don't take, that also is reflects back to that last question. Do what feels inspiring. If you're not inspired, you're not going to find joy and purpose and the magic that you need to create, what you need to create, do what you need to do.
I like that. Um, how about book recommendations, or audiobook or podcast if you're not a big reader, but any book recommendations or some level of learning thing that either you've consumed recently, or just would have recommendations for the audience in general?
Man, Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil.
Ooh,
Just read
yes.
that. I don't know if you've read it, but it really takes the barriers around uh, our institutionalized thinking and how we've been institutionalized and how it can stifle our growth. And
Mm,
it's a complex, way of thinking about things. But when you really take yourself out of that, you can find, you can see where you've actually been stifled. So, and how it stifles your growth. So, anyways, it's been I actually read that last week, and so it's pretty much on my brain, but I can see how it applies to what we've been doing, and is kind of a nugget to stay on the course.
oh man, it's such a good recommendation. I haven't had that one come up in a while. I don't think it's come up on the business spotlight yet, so I'm excited that that gets to be
Well,
added kind of to the list too.
yeah, well, his big seller is uh
Think and
what
Grow Rich. Yeah.
Breaking, yes, Think and Grow Rich, and this is one of his lesser known novels, or lesser known books, but yeah, I found it much more profound.
Mm. Definitely a good recommendation. All right, we'll do one more of these rapid fire, and then we'll get into our final wrap up here. But this one's just kind of fun. If you could choose just one area in your business, that's key to this question. You only get to choose one spot in your business, and you had a little bit of magic dust, and you could sprinkle it all over this one spot in your business, and you wake up tomorrow, it's 10 times better than it is today. Where would you choose to put that magic dust?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's a difficult one. I mean, I think I feel like everything we talked about, like, is where that vision is and where we're going, and I think everybody in the company really um, shares that vision and has that growth mentality and striving for better, and is really tapped into our purpose. So I would say if we sprinkle that dust is to add to that staff, like, and see it working fully, I would say,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that's where the vision is already, but sprinkle the dust on it and then fast forward time, I guess.
That's a good place. I like that a lot. So for those that are in the audience that enjoyed this conversation, want to get to know you a little bit better, learn more about the business and all the amazing things that you've got upcoming, things like that, where can we advise them to go for more information?
Go to our website, havensconstruction.net.
Beautiful. And I think we connected initially on LinkedIn, so I'll probably throw LinkedIn in there as well, just so
Yeah, LinkedIn. I'm not the one that handles our LinkedIn account, or you can go to our Instagram at havensatx.
perfect. For those in the audience, I will make sure I put these in the video description below. But take a moment, just like go and reach out, send a direct message on one of the platforms, just say, hey, saw you in the business spotlight. Great conversation. Just want to make sure that we connect. I think that's so fun, especially as we focus on kind of our local area here in Austin, just kind of making some connections, that sort of thing. So highly encourage you all to go take a look at all of this, click the links, check it all out, make some connections here. But Trevor, as we wrap up, I've got one final question for you that I always like to kind of round out these conversations on. And that is simply, what is most inspiring to you today?
Oh gosh. Actually, that's easy. Looking back at where we've come from and our humble beginnings, and like looking what we've accomplished in between the last 23 years, and then looking at our vision, and I get excited about it because I see where we've come from, and I can see that vision, and it's tangible, and it's gluing. So I think that's my inspiration daily, is to see um, and to see my staff really grow and share in that vision. It's not just my vision, it's theirs too.
Mhm.
That's who we want to be, and that's what we're constantly improving on. So
I love that. Well, Trevor, I just want to say thank you again. It's a just genuine pleasure to have this conversation with you, to hear the journey of a business that's been in years for as many years as you have. Congratulations just in general on continuing to be in business. I think
thank you,
that's
Paul.
under celebrated in our era today. So I want to just acknowledge that and say, it's amazing, and thank you again for taking the time.
Thank you, Tanner. Thanks for having us.